And 4 minutes.
All right, we're good.
Should have just left it there.
It is very much.
No audio on my end.
I can
Cannot hear myself
very
at all.
much. 7 o'clock, guys.
I cannot hear
yeah.
me at all.
Here we go.
Daniel. Hello.
Are your headphones on?
Yeah, they're on.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You just can't hear you?
I can now.
That's weird. Okay, I
All
think
right.
we're good to go. I think we
go.
can go on ahead and start now. It seems like a good time to start now. So let's do this, guys.
My phone beeped at
Yeah,
me.
turn that shit off. You're so rude.
I know.
So rude. Already. So, tonight's Strange Sexting Stranger, Coronavirus Secrets, Burp Capture Devices, Doctors refusing service to racists and sexists, Leftists more likely to be crazy. What in the world's going on? Stay tuned to find out.
You're listening to the Unframe of Mind Show, the place to have the most mind-stretching, unprotected, intellectual intercourse of your life. Your hosts battle the forces of evil by lobbing fiery balls of truth, reason, and evidence over safe room walls.
Alrighty.
Hi, Daniel.
Welcome back to another episode of the Unframe of Mind Show, where we have uncomfortable conversations without a condom. I be your host, Daniel Wagner.
And I be Anthony Trewick.
He be Anthony
He
Trewick
be.
for sure. So,
Hey, quick question.
oh, sure.
How was your V-Day?
My V-Day?
Your Valentine's Day?
I mean, it was just kind of, a day.
A day.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't celebrate?
I mean, I got a little gift for the kids and a little something.
Nothing, no gift for the wife?
Little something for the wife. You
Yeah,
know.
a little something?
No, not a little something.
No,
No.
no, okay.
A little, bath stuff and
Best.
girl things that.
I guess when you've been married as long as you have, it turns into bath stuff.
No, she appreciated it. She said that's what I appreciate about you.
Well, good.
Yeah. So
Okay, moving along.
our favorite segment.
Yeah.
PHOBEISMIST. PHOBEISMIST. PHOBEISMIST.
Ooh,
Well,
and
that's not an echo
today,
chamber, no, is it?
today on the PHOBEISMIST, we're gonna explain to you why you should be offended by coupons.
Coupons.
Yes, coupons. Those dirty things that you clip out of the newspaper and you clip them and you just, you always forget them. And then by the time you're ready to use them, they're already expired. And the guy, a little cash register douchebag's like, oh, we can't use these because they're expired like yesterday, dude. And you're like, fuck you. I'm using my damn coupons. Coupons.
It's coupons.
All right, so before I jump into my diatribe here, what do you think? Why do you suppose coupons might be offensive?
Because they're competing with people that are on welfare. I think that's what that is.
Oh, competing with or
Yeah.
being marketed to?
Well, I guess more so both, but it's giving food stamps a run for their money,
No pun intended.
No.
So, check this out. So I did some research on this today. I actually managed to have a little extra time before the show, and I was
You had extra time?
I did.
How's your thumb feeling, by the way?
My thumb is fine. My thumb's been fine.
I saw your Facebook
It's my
post.
finger that's
Or your finger. Holy fuck, dude. I saw, Now, okay, for the people that
destroyed my finger.
don't know what was going on with this.
We're in the middle of PHOBEISMIST.
I know.
We should come back
Okay.
to this.
Red ball
So
squirrel.
now I've just ruined the whole clip.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
You're listening to the Unframe of Mind show, the place to have the most
The fuck are you
mind-stretching,
doing?
unprotected intellectual intercourse.
that's not
of
even
your
the right intro for the PHOBEISMIST.
Let's try this one.
PHOBEISMIST. PHOBEISMIST. PHOBEISMIST.
All right, and today on the PHOBEISMIST, we're going to explain to you why you should be offended by coupons.
Coupons.
Coupons. They're
Coupons.
super offensive. So, did you want to tell the folks why they should be offended? This will be a standalone clip, damn it.
It's for those people that are on welfare, and it kind of gives them a run for their money. It just sounds weird repeating this shit.
No, it's all
I'll have
good.
to do a lot of clipping just to get this one to work
No
out
worries.
right.
No
But,
worries.
yeah.
It's all good. So check this out. Like I said, I did a little bit of research, and I figured out why coupons are actually racist. Like, they have a deep-rooted history in racism. And it's going to blow your mind. So check this out. This is what I found out. The coupons, this free market welfare device, has been the bane of grocery store shoppers since the dawn of time, or at least since 1887. So, what happened in 1887, you ask? I will tell you. Coca-Cola distributed what is widely agreed to be the very first coupon for one free glass of Coke. John Pemberton invented Coca-Cola and is the person that got pharmacies to put it in their stores in Atlanta. As the business began to grow, the company introduced coupons to help it along. Coca-Cola would offer pharmacists 2 gallons of Coke syrup in return for the names and addresses of consumers who lived near that pharmacy, and they direct mail the coupon to the consumer. It was a classic new strategy. Consumers would get this thing in the mail for a free glass and, of course, try it. And the pharmacist would keep buying the syrup. Now, this gets deeper. A little bit about John Pemberton. Turns out during the American Civil War, Pemberton served in the Third Cavalry Battalion of the Georgia State Guard, which was at that time a component of the Confederate Army. He achieved the rank of lieutenant colonel, and in April 1865, toward the end of the war, Dr. Pemberton sustained a saber wound to the chest during the Battle of Columbus. He soon became addicted to the morphine used to ease his pain. And just like a good little drug dealer, John invented Coca-Cola and devised a way to give his first samples for free. He was once quoted saying, "It's not fair that I'm suffering from this chest wound and I'm addicted to morphine, so I'm going to take out my anger on the poor black people of Atlanta, Georgia, and help them get addicted to my new beverage, which has cocaine in it. I'll teach them little bastards to be a slave to my addictive, drug-addled drink." True quote. And that, folks, is why coupons are offensive.
Fuck me. Wow. You learn something new every day.
He didn't actually say that. I totally made that up.
Ah, you shit. You got me.
Because when we're offended, we have to make up facts
Oh, I
to
know.
support our offense. Anyway, so let's continue on. That's going to be a great clip right there.
Oh, man. Nothing like spreading some fake news.
I
I'm
know.
telling you.
That's what the show's all about, y'all. Hang in there. All right, so So Jeremy hops into the chat. He's over on YouTube. He asked if I have a T-shirt on now. Funny story. I went to work today, and I had my hoodie on, like I do every day, as I leave the house. Well, I went to work, and I started to take my hoodie off to realize I didn't put on a shirt.
Oh, nice.
So I had to do some, like, hard-ass work all day in a hoodie. I was burning up, man. I was burning up.
Hey, Bayonet's back in the chat. It's good to see you, bud.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So I've got a lot to cover tonight, so I just wanted to hop right into it. So I was actually sitting here minding my own business, and this is you're not gonna believe this. I don't know. Maybe you've received this kind of thing before, but I'm sitting there all by my lonesome, and I received this random text, and I was like, "What is this?"
Okay.
I don't know what this is, and the question was, "Hey, what are you doing?" I respond, it's a random number. I don't know who this is.
Right.
And I say, chillin', been a long day. What's up? And they respond, nothing, just laying down horny. I'm like, damn. I made it, and I
Wow.
inserted a little delicious emoji.
No, you didn't.
Because I like to listen, if you text me and I don't know who you are, I'm going to fuck with you, and I'm not even going to ask you who you are. I'm just going to pretend like I know you already, and we're just going to see how long we can keep this little charade going. I have so much fun doing this crap.
Oh, my word.
So they respond, wish I had your blank to suck.
Wow. Why are you going blank? We use every other language
Well,
under
you
the
know,
book,
this is bad. Anyway, and I respond to you and me both.
Wow.
To which this person responds, I want a load on my face. I say, oh.
He wants a load on their face.
I say, oh, yeah? Tell me more. They're like, yes, I want it deep in my throat. And and they respond, I miss you.
What the hell?
I said, oh, that's sweet. I miss you too. And then I was like, which do you want? Deep in your throat or all over your face? They say, so when can I suck your dick again? I say, it's up to you. They say, I want both. I say, don't be greedy now.
What you need to do is you need to screenshot this whole conversation and put it up in the group for people to actually look at.
So
I've had something similar like this happen to me. But,
I'm almost finished.
Okay.
Yeah. So they chose which one they wanted. They say deep in my throat. I said, what about your tits? I don't have tits. I may have the wrong number. They said I don't have tits. I may have the wrong number.
Wow. Is this a local number?
Yeah, it's a local. It's a 615 number.
Should we call it right now
Oh
to
my
see if we get an
God.
answer?
No.
Oh, come on. Let's call it on.
I'm not doing
We're
that.
live. No. Let's do this. Let's do
I am
this.
not
Call it.
doing
Put it on
that.
speaker.
No.
Oh, come on, dude.
Just
no.
wait. Listen.
Call it.
Listen. I
Give me the
responded-
number and I'll call it.
Okay, you can call it. I responded with a bunch of smiling emojis, and they responded back with more smilage emojis. Said, I'm sorry. Now, the next day, they said to me, good morning. Would you still let me suck your cock? I woke up super horny. I said no. They said okay. So I'll let you call it, but this is something else that I want to get into here, because this is disturbing on a number of levels.
Okay.
But let's try this first, just to see what happens. I guess we're being egged on to call it.
I told you, man. I'm telling you. Let me call it real quick.
Just say you called my friend. Leave me out of it.
Hey, man.
But you're gonna have to hold. You can hold it up to my mic here. Oh.
Probably won't answer.
I don't know. No answer. Might think it went to voicemail.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious. Oh my God. So Jeremy says, ask for a reach around. Why stop there? I could get so much more. No answer.
Oh man.
That's okay. So here's what bothered me about this particular thing is I got to thinking about this, and I'm like, you know what? I could have been like a 12-year-old little girl or something, responding back to your text, and you have no idea, and you're like making these offers to some stranger, sight unseen. You don't know who the hell is on the other line. And it's like, what in the world?
So I text this person, whoever it is, and I said, looking for a good time.
All right, so keep
over
me
the next
updated
hour,
what happens next.
I'll watch my phone to see if we get a respond back.
All right.
And
But
we'll see what happens.
You get what I'm saying though, like the depravity of this. Like, yeah, it was funny to me, but it just so happened that
I don't know if that's like a kid or something.
Yeah,
man.
and
That's kinda fucked up.
I could have been a 500-pound fat ass, dude sitting there playing Xbox when this text comes rolling in. You don't know, and you're just offering a sight unseen, like no questions asked, like. Dude, I mean, if that's the kind of behavior that you're going to put forth into the universe, I don't want you anywhere near me. Like, there's no telling what kind of shit you got and you're bringing my way.
I'm just curious to see if they're going to respond back.
Yeah, we'll find out.
This will be interesting.
We'll find out. So while we're waiting on that, let's go ahead and move on.
And if we don't hear back from them until after the show, we'll keep people updated. So check the group chat or the group page to see if there's any more that comes from them.
Right on. So I've got a number of things I want to touch on tonight, and one of those would be the coronavirus or COVID-19, with what they're calling it now. Mm-hmm. And I know we talked about this a few weeks ago, and we were just kind of like, no need to panic. Just pay attention, kind of keep pay attention to what's going on, see what's, but I'm starting to hear more and more stories, and I'm starting to see a lot of videos, some of which are old videos that people are trying to use for this. So it's like, it's hard to tell what's real news.
Can't
and what's
really
not.
decipher what's real and what's not, and what's been previously used for another event. And
right. And I'm hearing it from a number of reliable sources that these videos that are coming out of China of people wearing these like full-blown hazmat suits that they've created, homemade, protective suits that they're making.
Right.
Everybody's wearing the mask. There's a number of hospitals being sprung up, super quick to deal with this. Like, and we're seeing people like twitching on the street. It's this really weird behavior. They're locking people and welding them inside their houses. Like some real terrible totalitarian type shit here. It's like, what is going on?
It is China.
Yeah.
I'm not, I wouldn't put anything past what they do. So
they're telling us some kind of numbers on how many are infected, how many have died, but you don't know if those are accurate because we're talking about the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party here.
It's hard to get that kind of reliable information coming from halfway around the world. And even then, China has always been kind of secretive as far as what they do with situations like this. So it's just, you can't really put a whole lot of emphasis on what you're catching online because there's no way to prove the authenticity of what's actually going on. So it's just, I don't know, man. This from do your homework on it, I guess.
So this from Military Times. This one I can basically confirm. I've heard this a number of places on the Military Times. They say U.S. military prepping for coronavirus pandemic. That's interesting. The U.S. Northern Command is executing plans to prepare for a potential pandemic of the novel coronavirus, now called COVID-19, according to Navy and Marine Corps service-wide messages issued this week. An executive order issued by the Joint Staff and approved by Defense Secretary Mark Esper this month directed Northern Command and geographic combatant commanders to initiate pandemic plans, which include ordering commanders to prepare for widespread outbreaks and confine service members with a history of travel to China. Yeah, interesting. So the Navy and the Marine Corps messages issued Tuesday and Wednesday, respectively, reference an executive order directing U.S. Northern Command to implement. I feel like I just read that. Why are they repeating that? Oh, sorry. Order directing U.S. Northern Command to implement the Department of Defense Global Campaign Plan for Pandemic Influenza and Infectious Diseases 3551-13. We may have to look a little more into what that actually is there. So the document serves as the Pentagon's blueprint for planning and preparing for widespread dispersion of influenza and previously unknown diseases. So this is, our own military is ramping up for, some kind of pandemic level event. I'm not really sure what that's about. What information do they have that we don't know? Why is our media itself kind of quiet on the whole thing and not really saying a whole lot? They're not even trying to report on the actual footage that's coming out of there. We got a video from Myra posted showing.
I've seen this one. Excuse me. I have seen this one circulating around a lot of different social media outlets, and again, it's you don't know when this video was taken or
yeah,
when.
That's the problem. Just keep that in mind, that we don't know when the video was taken, but what it shows for those listening on the podcast is just a bunch of Chinese citizens tied together in a line, almost look like a chain gang kind of thing going on.
This could have been in an illegal operation that was going on. I mean, this may not have had anything to do with.
Well, plus they're all wearing the masks too, so that
that's typical over there because they have such a high population. It is very common for them to wear the mask.
Yeah,
so
you make a good point. There's no telling what's going on here, but just be aware of it. This is the one that I was looking at that got me. Kind of, I posted in the Unframed Minds group, but this video basically shows a number of clips and things like that. I'm not, you can't really see it much, but there, it's really a whole bunch of people laying on the ground, twitching all over the place. Again, with the caveat, we don't know when this was shot, or hell, it could have been, for all we know, it could have been some kind of a shot for a movie they're making over there, and this was.
And I've seen people do that. I've seen people that have been a part of a production for a movie, and they were taking a video of what potentially could have been a movie, and then kind of spun it their own way.
Right. So
you just got to be careful.
I'm kind of counting on you guys. When you see this stuff, try to authenticate it best you can. You see people. This clip here is it looks like doctors got the masks on. They're walking around with military grade weapons. You're hearing gunshots going off. People don't even seem to be remotely fazed by it. People are walking by dead bodies on the ground. And not really even paying much attention to them. I'm just trying to click through. It's about a 15-minute video. If you want to check it out, it's in our Unframed Minds group, a recent post. But this clip shows some guy laying on the ground. Again, that could have been just a video of somebody playing a prank and just pretending, and they're just shooting. Who knows? Or it could actually be a dead guy on the ground that nobody's paying attention to. So I don't know.
Or it could actually be what's going on over there.
Absolutely. With so much crap going on nowadays, you don't know what to believe, what not to believe.
Now imagine if this was shown on the news, maybe, 10, 15 years ago. This would have scared the shit out of a lot of people. And although it should, but again, it's because of the way the world is today, it is very hard. Yeah, I don't know. It's just.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. This is the problem. So, and here's the problem with it is you don't know what to be prepared for. You don't know what how serious should you take this stuff. How much should I be buying some extra food and water just in because if they put us on quarantine for 24 days, do I got enough food in my house to last for 24 days? No, I sure do not. Right. I could probably make it about half that if we stretch it real thin, but but I've got a family of 6 to feed and think about. So I mean, I did start to buy a few medical supplies, just basic stuff we should probably have anyway. I don't want to go to full panic or nothing like that, but it just seems like there's more going on, more than meets the eye. There's definitely more going on with the story than we're being told. And it doesn't surprise me that the CCP is trying to control all the information coming out, and trying to get a grasp on it. People are supposedly sending out these, secret videos and stuff that they could actually be killed for sending out of the country, Right. So they're taking a big risk for shooting videos like that with them twitching on the ground. CM Barker 82 from D-Live says, what do you think they would tell the general public here, or what do you think they'd do to contain it here? See, and that's the question is China's methods the best way to go about it? Quarantining their entire population and spraying disinfectant all over the place? You've seen
where they were going through with that fog kind of like material, just kind of crop dusting the entire place. Yeah,
I mean, but
crop dusting in the
out
sense
here
of
we don't have that kind of power structure in our But then again, they could declare martial law and go ahead and do this stuff. They have the ability to do that. So there's no way. I don't know what they would do. I mean, fortunately, I kind of live out in the country, so if I kind of stay away from everything, I should be okay. But it's like, man, you're hearing about people dying, and it's like the people that are dying, usually with the influenza, it's people that are too young or too old. Their immune system's compromised. But this is killing people of all ages, of all, it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know.
Do I need to be worried about it? Is the main question. Like, basically, none of the rest of it matters to me. I could give a shit what China does over there. What I care about is how much do I need to prepare myself and my family. Like,
did you see where they were?
saying?
Yeah, but did you happen to see where they were saying that this was actually genetically made, the coronavirus?
Yeah, I've seen that.
And we had covered this the weekend, the Wednesday before that came out. And I told everybody, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on here and suggest that this was something that was man-made to control the population, you know. And then it wasn't even a week later, it comes out that this was something that was genetically made. So it's like,
yeah, what they say that the research facility was like 300 yards away from the market where they said this whole thing originated from, and you're like, oh, come on, guys.
So it's kind of like maybe there's a little truth behind what I was saying, and you know, and kind of maybe that tinfoil hat kind of can come off now, and we can actually see this for what it is.
I don't know. I mean, anything's possible. That's the problem, man. You just do not know. Again, it just, for me personally, boils down to how much do I need to worry about this in terms of my family. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think everybody should have that mentality and not think so much of what's going on over there. Let them deal with their problems.
Yeah, obviously,
let them deal with what's going on over there.
We don't have any control over what the Communist Party does over in China. We have zero control of that.
No.
As far as a nation, we have a limited control as far as who comes in. You know, we can try to control that as far as. But even that, we're already having trouble with border crossings and a porous border as it is anyway. So it's not like it's impossible for people to get in if they don't want to.
I don't know. I mean, if the video we just watched, if it is as true as it is what we're seeing, I would think that you would hear more from the White House about this. You know what I'm saying? I haven't, you know, we obviously get a lot of, we get a lot coming in through the news cycles before we do our shows, and we have not seen anything that would really provoke any kind of real serious threat to our way of life. So when I'm watching these videos, it's like, I don't know, man. It's just, this isn't adding up to me. It really isn't.
Right. Yeah. There's so much different.
This could have been from a different situation. You know, there's been things that have gone on throughout our time that, you know, there's been, you know, pandemic, you know, situations where they thought it was going to get bad, never did. And so it's just, I don't know, man. It's just hard to tell.
Yeah,
and
when they're talking about like the SARS virus that was going around, or like mad cow disease, the bird flu, all that good stuff.
You just don't know when these were taken from. Yeah. And as we've been telling people, just, you know, do your homework, research this stuff. A lot of people don't want to do that, but you know, don't be so dependent on these videos, because a lot of things that we've noticed can be altered. And I always use this as an example, the whole Nick Sandman situation. Right. You know, with the, you know, the elder that was an Indian, and we saw how doctored that video was.
Oh,
it painted him to look like the, you know,
Nick
Sandman is the bad guy.
It was just selectively edited.
Well, it was selectively edited, yeah. But we saw the impact of what that video did to that young man's life.
Right.
And then finally, when we got the full video, everybody was just like, oh, okay.
Well,
now we're starting to see the... yeah. So that's what I'm saying, folks.
Yeah.
Just kind of do your homework. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't run with something and start freaking people out, because...
Right.
And you don't want to look like an idiot.
Yeah,
you
even
really
in that
don't.
video that I just showed there, somebody was saying that they had already seen a number of those clips a few years back under some different circumstances. So that makes me question the validity of all of the clips, if some of them were fake or some of them were missourced. You know?
Well, it's kind of like we had that situation not too long ago in the group where the guy had posted that, or I had posted that video. What was it? The book?
Yeah, he was advertising some kind of book or something like that, but it was in a foreign language.
It was in
Arabic. They had the subtitles saying something that it actually wasn't saying.
And then I went back and I found the original video, and it was talking about a prime minister who was elected into office that had nothing to do with Mohammed or, you know, the whole situation that was going on over there. And I'm like, wow. And then when we called the gentleman out on the fake video, he didn't know what to say. He actually left the group.
Yeah. All you did was piss him off.
All I did was do my due diligence,
yeah,
and I found the actual video that, you know, hey, what you're sharing isn't the truth. And I kind of confronted him on that, and I said, look, dude, you're spreading this propaganda, and I'm thinking, I found the original video, and it should have been just left as is. But I don't know. People get butthurt when you call them out and you tell them they're wrong.
I don't know what to do about it, man. I don't know what to do about it. Some people just can't you can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
All right. So next up, we've got a new device that a new device that I heard about. That's supposed to help capture cows' methane-filled burps. This video from Reuters here.
Where do you come up with this shit?
We
did a whole interview with cows.
New. This is new, yeah.
Are we gonna have to go back and do a part 2 now?
Yeah, I guess so. But check this shit out. This is legit. This is I think as far as I can tell, it looks like a free market solution for a problem that people think we have. So hell, I'm all for that. If you think there's a problem and this is the way you want to solve it, check this out. It's actually pretty ingenious. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and play this video. It's about a minute and a half here, and as soon as I can play it.
Stock into water and carbon dioxide, or in less scientific terms, it captures cow burps.
Damn, I wish I could get this thing to work.
Burps, it releases methane into the atmosphere, a phenomenon.
Well, I got a sensitive plug here that really does not want to work properly. It drives me nuts.
Putting the environmental footprint on par with transportation.
It's a pressing issue that
all right, so we're going to try that one more time here. Okay.
It could be an answer to reducing harmful greenhouse gas emissions. This muzzle-like contraption converts methane gas from livestock into water and carbon dioxide, or in less scientific terms, it captures cow burps. Every time a cow or other livestock animal burps, it releases methane into the atmosphere, a phenomenon responsible for nearly 15% of greenhouse gas emissions, according to the United Nations, putting the livestock industry's environmental footprint on par with transportation.
It's a pressing issue that needs to be dealt with quickly.
That's Francisco Norris. He's the co-founder and CEO of Zelp, an England-based company behind the mask that squelches belches, turning each methane-filled cow burp into cleaner air, an idea Norris is trying to take to the mainstream.
Making sure that people understand that this is viable, that this is scalable, and that this is an efficient solution to the problem.
Although less prevalent than carbon dioxide, methane is actually more potent because it traps 28 times more heat, according to a 2016 study.
We face the challenge of moving at the speed that the climate crisis requires.
But the cattle world will have to wait with bated breath. Zelp is still in a trial phase, though Norris hopes to start selling the masks next year.
There you go. See? Nice free market solution there. It's a fancy little mask there. Looks nice. But they burp into it and it's supposed to convert it. I don't know how in the world. Like, you saw when they breathe, like the air was like a big cloud of dust coming out. It's not like it's all just going right up into this thing. I don't know. Maybe it's a terrible design. Maybe it won't work. Maybe it'll end up costing too much money. Who knows? But at least somebody's trying to work on it by not, not trying to make the government be the ones to the taxpayers.
Can you imagine if this was on the rear of a cow?
Oh yeah, They would be much more likely to catch the farts. But then
you
again,
should play that video for everyone that has not seen it.
The video, the
cow video.
Yeah, maybe you could say something a little bit about it while I find it.
Yeah, no, this was just when AOC had launched that. Was it New Green Deal or whatever the fuck they call it? Green New Deal.
Yeah.
New Deal Green.
New Deal Green. Yeah,
Green Deal.
That's what it was for sure. Yeah, and we had a good time filming it, and the gentleman that let us do it was really cool. It was just all right. Here we go. Cow farts.
Even though AOC's Green New Deal was shot down 57-0, we still believe that cow farts are the #1 contributing factor to climate change. In this exclusive interview, Daniel goes live on location from Ground Zero to give you an utterly unbelievable story you don't want to miss.
With an estimated 110 kilograms of methane produced annually by just one dairy cow, these animals are responsible for an estimated 18% of the total greenhouse gases worldwide. And if that's not enough, future methane emissions are expected to increase due to global food demand increasing from population growth. As Anthony said, cow farts are literally destroying our planet right before our eyes. I connected with Bruce and his son Paul, who own and operate a local cattle and livestock farm, to get this exclusive story straight from the horse's mouth.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has just put out the Green New Deal as a proposal for how to end climate change. She says that you guys are personally responsible because of your farts. What do you say about that? Notice the cow is very aggressive. Tell me, Muffin Man, do you feel guilty when you fart? Have you ever tried to blame anybody for your farts? Are you offended by the term holy cow? Is there currently a movement to end the Green New Deal? Do you have a beef with other cows? As the Me Too movement grows, do you feel sexual? As a brown cow, how do you feel about installing a wall at our southern border? Can I milk you long time? Okay, I think that was a nod. I think he says yes. So what do you think about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal, or as we like to call it, the eugenics program for bovine kind? Would you be comfortable if it was mandatory to install an anal air filtration system to help combat methane emissions? Cow seems very uncomfortable with this particular question.
I wasn't having any luck getting answers from the cow, so I asked the farmer's son, Paul, if he would agree to answer a few questions.
Does it concern you that you have in your possession animals responsible for Earth's destruction in the coming years?
No.
Do you feel guilty every time one of them passes gas?
No.
This is proving to be more difficult than I thought. Does it keep you awake at night knowing that just outside your bedroom door, there's an army of cattle blindly plaguing human society?
Not at all.
Exactly as I thought. These guys just don't care.
I'm sorry. That's so great.
Dude, we've got to get back into doing
Oh, I've got
again.
another idea for a skit that I want to do, and I'm going to need some help with it. It's going to be great. I will run that by you later on for sure.
Sounds good.
All right, we've got a few more topics here to cover tonight. If I can find my notes. Oh, it's a disorganized mess over here. That's all right. Anyway, that was just a fun little story that I wanted to cover here. I just thought it was neat.
Yeah, kind of plays into what we've been talking about.
Right. So here, okay. I don't know how to start this topic, but this one here's a term that I learned recently. It's a term called sounding. Sounding. It's a BDSM thing, apparently.
Oh.
And it involves this little tool right here.
Okay.
And it's I think it's they stick those down your shaft.
Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. No.
That's a thing.
Why?
I don't know.
Why? Why?
Looks like so much fun.
No.
What?
Get the fuck out of here with this
I mean,
shit, dude. Come on.
I am not lying though. It's a legit thing. Look, all I typed in was BDSM sounding, clicked images, and this came up. This is a real thing.
Good for them.
I'm going to be really careful how far down I scroll because there ain't no telling what's down here. But for those of you in the podcast listening audience, we're looking at a number of shiny, metallic, long, skinny, cylindrical objects that you apparently you stick down your penile tube.
God, no.
And
I mean, I'm into some kinky shit myself, but no, this
people
is
enjoy
just,
this, and
no, there is no pleasure from this. I'm sorry, there is just none.
Somebody
Zero.
likes it. Apparently, there's lots of designs
this is
for
like
it.
a torture tool, man.
It
this
is
not.
But look how many different designs there are for it. Like I don't understand this.
I will take it up the ass and have something just inserted into my fucking penis. No.
This is making you so uncomfortable.
It's not uncomfortable. It hurts, man.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not seeing the pleasure out of it.
Interestingly, the story that I heard.
The fuck you?
No, the way I heard.
I want to know what you're doing with your free time. Like, how did you come? Like,
I'm about to tell you why. Okay. Because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm listening to.
Oh, you've been listening to Alice.
No.
I figured this is something that they would have.
It might have been, but no. I was actually listening to Kill Tony, It's just like a podcast live show where they have comedians come up and they'll do 1 minute of material and then they'll interview the comedians. Most of it sucks, but it's interesting. Let's do it. Anyway, one guy was like really creepy and they started asking him questions and they said, what's the one creepiest thing about you? He says that he was into sounding. They're like, what is sounding? And I'm like,
hey, you got a coupon for Harbor Freight.
How do you think I came up with that topic? I was sitting there literally at my desk going, whoa, I don't know what to think of. Coupon, right? Literally right there. Anyway, so he's talking about how he did this, and the guy that he was doing it with, or the person he was doing it with, I don't remember if he said the sex of the person, but they were going to do it, but they didn't have the professional equipment for it. They used the hollow tube of a Bic pen, and ended up bleeding, like a lot. That's a sharp edge you're trying to stick down there.
No, man.
I'm like. I'm sitting there. I had to pause it, and I pretty much had the same reaction. I've had my chance to get over this.
I'm glad you have. You got a reaction out of me during this. Like, I didn't have no time to prepare for this at all.
I wanted to throw it at you. This was. Don't look. Anyway. Oh my God.
Fuck, man.
I'm sorry. This is great. Heather from Facebook says LMAO torture tool. No LMAOs here. Okay, there are no LMAOs here. So if anybody's into that, there's that. So I'm going to move on to the next topic. Speaking of torture,
this show is.
We're going to go and talk about New England's, not New England. Yeah, England's healthcare system.
New England.
Sorry, NHS and their healthcare system. This story I came across from MSN.com.
MSN.com. Yeah, there's a reliable news source.
BDSM. No, I mean the story is legit, but I don't, take it with a grain of salt. I always take our sources with a grain of salt. There ain't no telling. Anyway, what they're saying is that NHS hospitals will soon be able to refuse non-emergency care to racist or sexist patients. Fun. NHS England has released new plans to ban patients who exhibit discriminatory or harassing behavior on staff from receiving non-emergency care. Previously, NHS organizations could only refuse service if they were physically violent or aggressive to staff.
Well, I mean, that kind of goes without saying, but...
Yeah. Well, so the ban follows a national NHS staff survey for England, which found out that more than a quarter of NHS workers have been bullied, harassed, or abused in the last year. 4 in 10 felt unwell due to work-related stress, and 1 in 7 had been physically attacked. So I can understand the physical attacks aspect.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
So what they said later in the article here is that racism was the most common form of discrimination against staff, with reports of sexism and intolerance of religion and sexuality also at their highest levels in 2019. So I would be interested to see what the demographic breakdown between the NHS staff versus the patients that were exhibiting these types of behaviors. That would be interesting, but they don't mention anything of that sort. So they say there is far too much violence against NHS staff and too much acceptance that it's part of the job, Health Secretary Matt Hancock said in a letter to all NHS staff. He goes on to say, far too often I hear stories that the people you are trying to help lash out. I've seen it for myself in A&Es, on night shifts, and on ambulances. I am horrified that any number of the public would abuse or physically assault a member of our NHS staff, but it happens too often. So, yeah. Now here's what I had a problem with on this particular one is, if you're going to give healthcare professionals in a nationalized healthcare system the ability to discriminate, basically decide whether or not to give you service based on, whether you're racist or sexist or what have you, what other options do you have at that point? I mean, your state-run organization has a monopoly on the healthcare system at that point.
Yeah.
You don't have options.
No,
you
don't.
either get in line and behave, or you don't get to seek medical treatment unless it's an emergency. Emergencies are cool, apparently. I was like, this is, that's not a great way to run it. Like if it was a privately run system, it would not run this way. There's just no way because, you want to try to avoid getting people in the emergency room. You would be incentivized to keep people out of the emergency room, ideally. Prevention is worth a pound of cure, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I was sitting there reading along here, and it's, yeah, so I made a note here.
Well, doesn't that kind of their way of discriminating against those who discriminate?
Basically, yeah. But so here's what I was thinking is like, say if I'm in a private market system, if I go into a doctor and they don't want to give me service because they feel like I'm a racist, that's fine. I can just go to the next guy down the road and try to get service from him. Maybe there's a special doctor that only serves racists. Who knows? Maybe there's a market niche for it. Who knows?
Okay, so
but
let me run this.
But then I can go online and just give a rate and review to that guy. Like, hey, he's like turning away people because he thinks they're racist and shit. And, you know, you get enough of those reviews, people aren't going to go to your establishment and you're going to go out of business, you know?
So let me ask you this. So, and just to kind of get your thoughts, and I probably already do, but I just kind of see what you would say. But so my primary care doctor, I go in, okay, and I want to see him, not his nurse practitioner, who was a female. So he has to do certain things, you know, or she would have to do certain things that I would prefer my male counterpart as my doctor to look at or do certain things.
Right.
And if I don't want her doing that, do you think I'm being sexist at that point?
Well, it doesn't matter if I think you're being sexist, and it doesn't matter if you think you're being sexist. It matters if the nurse practitioner perceives it as being sexist.
See, that's
the problem.
No, it's nothing more than this is a guy thing. This has nothing to do with her being a female. It's just I'm more comfortable with having certain things done.
Yeah. But according to this policy here, if she is convinced that you are in fact a sexist, all she has to do is report it, and there's
that's the loophole, and that's the gray area I don't like, because that may not be the case. You know, with me, I'm more comfortable around my primary care doctor who is male, and that is somebody who I have seen for 15 years. Yeah, this is a nurse practitioner who I've never met.
You've developed a relationship with your doctor. You'd like, and that makes sense.
Right. So for her to come back, it leaves that door open for her to come back and say that I'm being sexist.
Yeah.
Now, where's that argument to where, you know, I can defend myself and say that's not the case?
Yeah, I see. I don't know, because
this is where I have a problem with this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
In a private situation, a private market situation, you would be able to go to the next guy and just be like, you know, fuck them. I don't need to go see them anyway.
Well, it shouldn't have to be that way regardless of what's going on. I mean, whether you're in the emergency room, whether you're at urgent care or at your primary care doctor, you should be able to request either a male doctor, depending on what your circumstances are, if you feel more comfortable with a male doctor than
frankly,
a female.
If you feel more comfortable with a doctor of your own race, that shouldn't be that big of an issue.
No, it shouldn't.
It doesn't
and that's what I'm saying.
necessarily.
You're falling into this long list of people that are going to start using this as an excuse from that medical profession. If she's just having a bad day, and then all of a sudden she takes it out on you and she's calling you, you know, sexist. It's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Hell, you might have had, you know, like this could be. This is just a theoretical, but it could be a very real theoretical here. You go into the doctor to see them, national health care, and the doctor happens to be an Indian doctor.
Yeah.
And you have had some really bad past experiences with Indian guys molesting you or something like that. You don't know what kind of trauma you've been through. For whatever reason, you've developed this aversity to, you don't feel
comfortable.
You don't feel, you know, it's not that you don't like that particular guy or girl. It's just, you just don't feel comfortable interacting with certain types of people because of the past experiences you've had. I mean, I don't think that's racist, but it doesn't matter what your experience is. It matters if you say something and that doctor's like, okay, this person's a racist here. They don't want to see me because I'm an Indian. You know, I mean, it's kind of a silly example, but not really. It could be a very real situation that you run into, and you just
it could be a thing where you may not understand them, like their English may not be the best.
That could be
another deciding factor of why I don't want this person, you know, giving me the medical care that I need.
Yeah, and it's I don't want to accidentally misunderstand what he said, and you know.
Yeah, that's just a dangerous, you know, slippery slope to go down. But that's the other thing too, is it's like, you know, I mean, you're looking at a situation to where, you know, you could possibly be put in that situation where you're deemed a sexist because you prefer. We're creatures of habit. When we go and see our primary care doctor or whomever, we've been seeing them for 15 years. I'm going to see my primary care doctor. I don't want to see his nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it has nothing to do with her being a female. It's just what I'm comfortable with. Now, had I been seeing the nurse practitioner for years for other things, I would be more inclined to say, okay, I'm comfortable with you. I've seen you before. If you're going to mess with my junk, that's fine. But again, this is just
so that explains why you always want my wife to leave the room when I'm, trying to play with your junk. You're just not comfortable with her
I'm
being
just not comfortable with her watching. It's just
yeah, me either.
Over time, as we become better friends, I will be more accepting of that, but just not right now. You can find us over on Pornhub, by the way.
So now I don't have any facts to back this up. I'm just going to say that right out front, but I can make some inferences as to why this situation's going on. It was talking about what was it talking about here? That a number of violent attacks are going on. One of the issues they're dealing with over there is the prevalence of Middle Eastern people over there that don't know how to behave quite the same way. I'm not saying all of them, but I am saying that I noticed there was a utter lack of not mentioning the race of the people here.
Well, what it is a lot of people that have been doped up on pills.
Yeah,
they haven't had their refill. They haven't had their.
Well, that could be. There's so many things it could play into. But the point I'm trying to drive at is
this kind of falls back to the opiate
It seems
crisis.
like it's possible that if I'm Muslim, if I'm a devout Muslim, and I go into a doctor and I need to see somebody, and I see this white Englishman here trying to see me, and I'm like, I don't want to see you. I want to see a Muslim doctor. It's against my religion. I want to see a Muslim doctor. It could be a legit thing. That could be something that's going on. That and as a result, because of the disparities in IQ and stuff, you don't have as many Muslim doctors as you do white doctors. It just is what it is. Nothing I could do about it. But that could be some of what's going on.
Well,
I don't know if that's what's driving this particular policy. But
well, as somebody who has dated someone in the medical profession, I will tell you that majority here in the U.S. of what they see has been people that are coming off of that high of doing pills.
Right.
They want their fix, and then as soon as they say no, we're not going to prescribe that to you, they lose their shit.
Yeah.
That's when all this comes into play, and this comes into a factor. Security is called. They're escorted out, yada, yada, yada. So there's more to this than I think what people realize. If you're not in the healthcare, business, you really don't know. And I don't speculate myself, but I just can off of conversations I've had with people. I've got a lot of friends in the medical field, and they'll tell you the same thing. It's just, we're going through this, opiate, epidemic. So it's when they're not getting their fix, they're not getting the pills that they need. They're just losing their shit, dude.
Yeah. Kind of like that Snickers commercial where they hand them a Snickers because they're hangry.
They're hangry.
Except it's for pills. So now, speaking of information sources that you want to,
he has. I tell you what, man, he's something else. I love him.
Alex Jones.
I tell you what, though, he's been right about a lot of shit.
Right.
So it pisses people off that it's kind of come to.
Here's this interesting topic I heard about, and I'm going to try to give as balanced a view of this as I can here. A survey finds, this is from Infowars.com. It's the place that popped up first when I went to research it from where I heard it. I didn't hear it on Infowars, but this, lo and behold, is where it was found. So I want to go with anyway, this is by Paul Joseph Watson on Infowars, which I do actually listen to Paul Joseph Watson quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Anyway, survey finds people who identify as left-wing are more likely to have been diagnosed with a mental illness. And we've got a chart here, portion of respondents to the SSC survey who says they have been formally diagnosed with depression, borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, or schizophrenia by self-position on a left-to-right spectrum. So it's showing that, I think if I'm reading this correctly, people are, 42%.
Wow.
of the left wing. Hang on, let me see here. A new survey of more than 8,000 people has found that those who identify with left-wing political beliefs are more likely to have been diagnosed with a mental illness. Ann Coulter's "liberalism is a mental disorder" catchphrase has become something of a cliched meme, but the data appears to support it. Carried out by Slate Star Codex, which we'll get into that in a minute. Let me just finish this particular point here. The online survey collected a wealth of data from respondents about their education, demographic, lifestyle, and political views. The results show that people who occupy the further left end of the political spectrum are more likely to have been formerly Try this again.
Man.
The results show that people who occupy the farther left end of the political spectrum are more likely to have been, quote, formerly diagnosed with depression, borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, or schizophrenia, end quote. In addition to the results show that the highest percentage respondents, 38%, who admit being diagnosed with forms of mental illness also identify politically as Marxists. In comparison, just 12.1% of conservatives say they have been diagnosed with a mental disorder. That's interesting. This is, as far as sample sizes and surveys, you're talking about 8,000 people, not really a huge amount, but he goes on to say, while the survey is by no means scientific, it does give an insight into how disturbed people are more likely to be attracted to fringe leftist beliefs, which in a lifestyle sense usually encourage degeneracy and a lack of moral responsibility. There does seem to be a lot of truth to this. I don't know.
When you see all the videos of left-leaning people acting out, hitting people, confronting people in restaurants and in public and so forth, do you think that supports that theory on a broader basis than just 8,000 people surveyed?
I think it does, just based on what I've been exposed to. But then again, I hear all the time from left-wing people that there's a lot of right-wing terrorists out there. There's a lot more right-wing terrorism out there than there is, Muslim terrorism in the United States.
But we're seeing more of the left side acting in a way that would actually support this.
Yeah, or just straight up screaming in the streets and just like chanting shit and not really listening. It could be. I don't know. But I don't know. It's hard to tell. This might be one of those correlation does not equal causation type of things.
Well, I think we have some instability on both sides. I think the vast number is probably showing that maybe the left
and that's
is
kind of
more.
that's kind of what it says. What it's showing here is about 38% lean toward Marxist versus 12.1% conservative.
But do you think that's just been the way the culture's been cultivated because of the way we have raised our children and the way they've been exposed to technology and these safe spaces and so forth? I mean, because it seems to me that a lot of these individuals don't know how to act accordingly in public.
Yeah.
Because they're so used to hiding behind a computer or some kind of device to deal with life
It certainly could have something to do with it. Sure.
Because I think a lot of these individuals never been faced with true conflict and they don't know how to deal with things like that.
Well, let me.
And it's actually kind of troubling. I mean, if you think about it, I'm not saying this is the majority of people from the left, but there seems to be this growing number of people from the left doing and acting out in such a behavior. It kind of makes you just kind of step back, like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And that could also be just the type of things you're exposed to, that you're only seeing that as highlighted.
I know I've got some friends that are liberal that are not this way.
Right.
We also have a few people in the group that are actually very far left leaning. Just my opinion.
Yeah, even by those numbers, the vast majority are not. It's just more of are they more likely or less likely to be? Anyway, so from Slate Star Codex, this is the original survey. It has a couple of notes, and the survey was by a guy by the name of Scott Alexander. And right up top and center, you see it says, "Please don't link to this regarding leftism and mental illness." And in an edit, he writes, This post presents open access data from a large survey that anyone is allowed to download and analyze. It's gone viral because a Twitter user named Philip Lemoyne downloaded the data and used it to investigate politics and mental illness. That analysis is not described here. It's not my analysis, and I have various caveats about it, which are described here. Sorry for any confusion. So now the survey was just, I just posted the information. I don't think he drew any conclusions out of this necessarily.
Just make sure you provide that link for people to go to.
Right. Yeah, I'll be updating the links. So when I click his caveats he posted, He says, InfoWars linked here with a headline, survey finds people who identify as left-wing more likely to have been diagnosed with a mental illness. This is accurate only insofar as the result uses the publicly available data I provide. The claim about mental illness was made by Twitter user Philip Lemoyne and not by me. In general, if I didn't need to read that. Hang on to see. As far as I can tell, here's the caveats he put in. As far as I can tell, Lemoyne's analysis is accurate enough, but needs some clarification. 1. Both extreme rightists and extreme leftists are more likely than moderates to have been diagnosed with most conditions. 2. Leftists might be more likely to trust the psychiatric system and get diagnosed. I did think about that as well. My survey shows some signs of that. Liberals are 60% more likely than conservatives to have formal diagnosis of depression, but only 30% more likely to have a self-diagnosis of depression. Number 3, leftists might be more likely to think of their issues through a psychiatric lens than rightists, meaning that even the self-diagnosis numbers might be inflated. Number 4, the SSC survey is a bad example, a bad sample to use for this, not just because it's unrepresentative, but because it might be unrepresentative of different political affiliations in different ways. For example, SSC Marxists really are surprisingly depressed, but maybe the only Marxist who would read an anti-Marxist blog are depressed Marxists looking for things to be miserable and angry about, like a self-selecting audience.
Yeah.
And number 5, he says a commenter on Lemoyne's tweet linked to this blog post by someone who found the same thing in the General Social Survey. Now, the General Social Survey is a much larger and more rigorous than my survey, and there's no reason to care what my survey has to say when there are GSS results available. That's a good point. And the last thing I wanted to read about this one here, that's not what I needed. Oops. Last one I wanted to read here, down in the comments, I'm glad I decided to scroll through the comments a little bit, but I did find Philip Lemoyne responded in the comments of those caveats. So I'm just trying to give a whole all-around, picture from everybody's perspective here, I don't want it to
kind of
just
keeps it balanced,
right.
And not so far one way or the other.
Yeah, because I know a lot of right-wing individuals will just take that initial study and just post it out and just like, I knew it, and this confirms it. Like, maybe you knew it, maybe this confirms it, but let's find out what everybody has to say, and then we'll make our decision up from there. So Philip Lemoyne says, for what it's worth, I never imagined this would blow up like this when I posted it, let alone be mentioned on InfoWars. It's just something I did in 5 minutes after the idea occurred to me to check in the data from your survey. Indeed, I made a mistake in the first chart, which I corrected in another tweet in the same thread, but I just saw that InfoWars had used the chart with the error. See, interestingly enough, he did fix his mistake. InfoWars took it and ran with it.
Yep.
Which, right-wing sources are apt to do. And left-wing as well. I don't,
And it comes from both sides.
Right.
It doesn't
so
matter.
He goes on to say, when I want to do more careful data analysis, I do so on my blog, as I don't think Twitter is a well-suited medium for that. Anyway, I basically agree with the points you made, most of which I had also made in discussion on Twitter, although to be clear, I don't believe the association between mental illness and far-left ideology can be completely explained away by this kind of confounding. I suspect there is a similar, though perhaps not as strong, association with far-right ideology, but I'm less confident in this case because there were very few respondents who identified as far-right in the survey, so the confidence intervals are huge, and that association is not observed in the GSS. Speaking of which, just so you know, I replicated the findings of the blogger you linked to above with the data from the 2018 edition of the GSS, though the between-group differences were not as striking. I will post this on Twitter when I have some time for people who are interested. The reason I don't believe the result can be totally explained away is that, as I said on Twitter, given the size of the effect, one would have to make an assumption that I regard as implausible for that to be the case. Finally, one thing I should add is that the GSS is not in fact larger than your survey, at least not if we're talking about the sample size. In fact, it's the opposite. The sample is much larger in your survey, but as you say, it's not representative. I have already spent way too much time debating this stuff, which, again, I never imagined would blow up like that, so I don't intend to discuss it further here, but I just wanted to make a few clarifications myself. So, take that with a grain of salt, stick that in your pepper shaker, or your salt shaker. Or your pee hole, yeah. Do that. Do that.
God, did you have to go back to that?
You said it. You said it. You said it. So let's hit the comment section before we wrap up. All right, looks like nobody's interacting with the comment section tonight, and that's okay. I guess we got really boring with that subject. All right, people must have left when we talk about healthcare.
They typically do.
Bastards. You got to stick around for the good stuff. Yeah, because the last comment was something about the more uncomfortable around dudes. Oh, that was about the healthcare stuff, so that's cool. All right, so to wrap this little episode up, that's been quite. I'm actually surprised we got through everything tonight.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap this up with our favorite segment of the show, and then I'm gonna go watch the Democratic debates while I try to go to sleep for the night.
Not
so,
me.
You ready?
Yep.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck is that on Wish? Oh, and on Wish today, we've got this $11 hair band with a cat on it to make it look like a cat is in your hair. You know,
why?
I'm cool with this, except like it would be really cute on
that
chicks.
Is fucking freaky,
it would
dude.
look
That's
cute
like
on young,
bizarre.
On young chicks, maybe 13 or 14.
No, it wouldn't. It's just creepy, dude.
Nah, I think my 12-year-old could make it look cute. You know, they do cat ears. Why not the whole damn cat? You know, I mean, it's not the first time they've had a pussy around their head.
Well, I prefer mine on my face.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, everybody is born with a pussy around your neck at some point, you know.
This is true.
So, I mean, maybe it's just
full circle is what we did.
Yeah, maybe they're just going back to their
roots.
Infantile roots to put a. I don't know, man. I don't know. So here's the problem. If I'm going to see, I don't know if I'd be comfortable seeing a grown-ass lumberjack type man with a beard wearing this. Don't get no ideas.
Somebody pay the $11 in shipping. We'll get Daniel to wear it.
Wear it for the show.
Wear it for the show.
It'd be so cute. See, the thing is when the thing starts moving, you're like, oh shit, that's a real cat.
Then you have a whole other set of problems to worry about. That's funny.
All right, folks, if you have a what the fuck is that on Wish you would like us to see and comment on, just send it on over to us. There's plenty of ways to contact us. You know where to find us on frameofmind.com. I believe that's be it for the night. It's been a fantastic show, and I look forward to doing it again next week, sir.
Yeah, it's been lovely.
All right. Fantastic. All right.
No more pee hole shit.
All right. This has been another uncomfortable conversation without a condom. I'm your host, Daniel Wagner.
Anthony Treyway.
And